I might have to just ask about, you announced the signing of Jason Jenkins this morning. Can you just tell us about, I suppose, what is it you see in him? What is it you think he'll offer you next season that you might have been lacking otherwise?
He's a big physical man for starters. In terms of age profile, experience, I think especially when you consider like the four South African teams joining the league, so understanding in terms of some of the mindset that's required when we travel to South Africa. Obviously, when those teams come up here, so some of that intel is very valuable to us. I think as a group that we don't currently have. I saw him play first as under 20s, believe it or not, at the World Cup away in Italy. And there's when he sort of progressed through Super Rugby with the Bulls. I was seeing him play plenty of times in those early days. One game probably stands out when he played against the Stormers, when you have the Bulls playing the Stormers and all the best South African talent were a good chunk of it at least. If you think Peter Steph-Tutoy, Khaleesi, Trevor Nicani, Dwayne Vermeulen, I could go on, and just seeing him at that level, and obviously he was a very young player at that stage. So, I talked to Johan down in Munster just as to how he had settled in, and that's also a factor, making sure guys that are travelling from far away, that how they settle in the country, and he seems to have settled in well. I know he's been unfortunate with injuries and all the rest. But believe it or not, it's not that easy to settle into Ireland when you got to temperatures of 4 and 5 degrees when you're used to 30. But he seems to settle well, and I've had a few conversations with Jason as well. So we're excited to get him here. Obviously, it's at the moment we're focused on the here and the now and this season. But in the future it'll be good to get him here. I think he can add in a lots of different ways. And just it's a different dynamic for our group. We've a lot of young players that come through the system here, so to have someone that has different experience from outside the group and coming into a good age profile as well, and obviously the experiences of his time in the Bulls, even down in Munster, but he's been away in Japan, coached by Jake White as an example as well. So there's plenty there that I think we can learn from here. So but again, there's lots of this stuff. It's great to have some of this good news, the news coming out, good news of guys re-signing as well, and but again, that's for next season really. At the moment, we're sort of in the thick of it here at the moment, playing against the South African teams this weekend, the Lions, who Leinster have never played against before. So, so we're, we don't quite know exactly what to expect with this opposition this week. We know they're a big physical abrasive team, and it's just making sure we're ready for that type of challenge. We've a number of players away in Irish camp this week that aren't available, but I think that just presents a great opportunity for the guys that are selected. We've a good hungry group now that want to kick on. They want to be involved in big games later in the season. First and foremost, you need to dog out the wins at this time of year when you are missing players, and there's that shared responsibility of the group. When players are away, there's a great opportunity for other guys to step in and and hopefully guys take their opportunity this weekend.
And just finally then for me, Jason, he was obviously on a 12-month deal at Munster. Is it a multi-year contract at Leinster, or is it just for next season?
Oh, well, I actually don't know the answer to that question. The specifics of it. You've caught me off guard there. I'll have to get guys to be onto that question.
All right. Fair enough. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Hi, Leo.
Hi, Aisling.
Just looking ahead to the Lions, I know you mentioned them there, but they are going to be coming in, I suppose, with a low confidence after losing their last 4 games. So, I don't know, how do you go into this game? I suppose you don't underestimate them, but they haven't been on a good run at the minute.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like it's trying to get that balance. I thought they performed well at the start of the competition. They had a big win, racked up a huge score against Zebra in the first half. Zebra came back into the game later, which obviously changed the complexion of the scoreline. I think like a lot of South African teams, they're very, very strong scrum. They're probably the strongest scrum of all the South African teams. And they're a physical team, and like unless we get like accuracy in our performance, then we will get into a lot of trouble, I think. So that's making sure we're nice and accurate in everything that we do. We've had a short prep this week. Lions. I suppose the big thing for them is the adjustment in terms of climate. They're used to playing in 30 odd degrees over the last whatever X amount of weeks. So it's going to be very, very different. But of all the South African teams, they're probably best suited to these type of conditions in many ways, because they have that big, heavy pack in particular. So for us, we try to focus mainly on ourselves this week, and we had some players that were here last week but have gone back into camp, so that are unavailable this week. But as I said earlier in the piece as well, it just presents a great opportunity for guys. For the likes of us, we've tried to mix that experience with some young guys as well. Dev, I'm literally looking at a sheet here in front of me, Devon Toner, 273 appearances for Leinster, with Joe McCarthy beside him with 1 cap for Leinster. So, Joe acquitted himself really well in that Cardiff away game. So it'd be great to see him now play at home. We had a disappointing result that day, so hopefully he'll have a better day out in terms of the result piece. And you look across the rest of the team, so there's a mix of some very, very young guys, early stages, less than 10 caps, with some guys that have plenty of experience playing for Leinster in the past. So it's just making sure that that mix works well during the course of the game. So the guys, even if you look back to the Ospreys game on last Saturday, there's some good parts to it, but there was lots of parts that the players were frustrated with as well. So it's just trying to improve week on week with the group that we have. If you think back to the Cardiff game, where we were, obviously the game came down to that very tight penalty kick in injury time to win the game for Cardiff. Obviously we're the ones who lose, so the fine margins on the day. So making sure that we talked about after that game where we squandered a lot of opportunities in the game, so which ultimately came back to cost us at the end. We followed it up with the game against Edinburgh, which again some good and some bad of the performances. Ospreys I thought was an improvement, and we're just trying to improve week on week. So lots of things that we're trying to focus on and improve on. So the group, as I said, they're working well together, and it's just been excited to put in a big energetic performance at the RDS, and try and build on the crowd and all the rest. And it's that connection that we want, particularly for some of the bigger games coming down the track later in the season.
And last week for me then, just Rhys Ruddock, he's going to captain the side tomorrow. It's his 200th Leinster Rugby appearance, so it's a great moment for him. Yeah,
and Rhys is he's very well respected leader in the group. Any times in the past that we've had votes for leaders, he's someone that will always feature up at the top end. He's a very, very important player for us, and it's a great honour for a milestone for him to achieve. I don't when it comes to selection for games, it's not like I know Sean Cronin made his 200 appearance, he came off the bench last week, but Rhys is captain of the team this week, and it's a really fitting honour that he leads the team out for his 200 appearance, because he's been such an important player for us for so many years now, and he's frustrated because he wants to put his hand up for selection for bigger things down the line as well. And back row, it's been well documented, it's a very competitive area for us, and hopefully it goes well in the game. It's great to see Dan Levy back as well, another person that wants to push on and put his hand up. Very lucky he picked up a head knock in the Ulster game when he came back, which was off the back of that November break, and then during that Christmas window when we're training, he picked up a hand injury, so he's just back from that. So again, hopefully he can kick on now as well, and sort of in many ways just try to get up and running, because we've such a big block of games. So it'd be great to see the two of those guys do well.
Great, Leo. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Aisling. Is anyone on the call from Virgin Media? No? Okay, so happy to throw it to the floor, or Neil or Aisling if you have a follow-up question, that's no problem. Or Don, are you there? Sorry.
Yes, indeed. Leo, traditionally or historically, European teams have feared teams from the Transvaal, and when Irish teams come against these big physical packs, like against France or Leinster, like against Saracens or Toulouse, do you think this is one of the biggest challenges for a while for Leinster?
We talked about it, particularly when we played the Bulls at the start of the season, who were fresh off the Curry Cup, and I think you could see that day down the Aviva, from the players that we had. I know the group that we have currently is quite different to what that group was at that time, but you could see the level of focus that our guys had, and like you can't really switch off for a second against them because it's the fundamentals of the game. Like, and it's not necessarily the sexy stuff. When I mean fundamentals, I'm talking around the set piece battle, around scrum and line out drives in particular. And like you see it at the World Cup final. England come off a big win against New Zealand. Everyone's talking them up in the final, and South Africa revert to doing what they do best and put a real squeeze on the team. So and Lions have the capability of doing that. So that's something that we need to learn from all the time. We think back to that game where we lost, particularly the one against Saracens in the Aviva, where we came under a lot of pressure around scrum. So it's the attention to detail on those fundamentals, and size helps in some of those battles. So it's something we're definitely conscious of. And yeah, the Lions will be a really good test for us. We talked, when we're talking, when it was being, I guess, discussed, the possibility of the 4 South African teams coming in to obviously the URC as it is now, or whatever Pro 14 we talked about at the time, or Pro 12. But those 4 teams, when they came in, there was a real big excitement level, because I think that tests our players more and more, which hopefully will set us up better for when it comes to, I guess, knockout rugby later in the season, whether that's being this in the league here or whether that's in Europe. So, because we've discussed in the past on these discussions around when you get to the pointy end of, particularly in Europe, away in France, big French packs, all the rest. So they recruit from all over the world, a lot more so than what we would do. So yeah, it's the as we said, it's not necessarily the sexy stuff, but it's the stuff that it's important. Like it's the scrum battle and the line out drive and some of the close quarter contact battles that take place during the course of the big games.